Tracy Swedlow, and this is Televisionation. I'm really excited to hear from John Skogmo, who is the CEO and founder of Jukin Media, really fascinating company, developing, working, managing UGC content. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I always think you guys are an interesting brand or offering to watch because you're always dealing with, all that content out there that people are creating. I mean, it's just sort of like an evergreen opportunity. And this is an interesting time to be in the business of delivering UGC content. So tell me, first of all, how you're doing. Where are you? Is everybody in your family okay?
Thank you for asking. It looks like I'm in the office, but this is just a virtual background. After working remotely right now, I think it's a good reminder for the folks what the office looks like, because we've been in the situation for many weeks now, and I think we're all eager to go back, but obviously we want to do that safely. And we've been very lucky that we've always kind of operated remotely, and the fact is that we're a global company and we have offices and people scattered around the world, and so we were lucky to be able to or shift pretty quickly to working remotely. And so I'm happy to report everyone's safe and healthy. We've had some few scares with some former employees. Got some bad news over the weekend on my wife's side. An aunt passed away due to COVID, but we're hanging in there. It's all right. Thank you.
There have been a few people in our industry who have had it but got through it. So
yeah. Certainly scary times. Yeah.
Okay. So tell everybody who's watching a little bit about what Jukin Media is. I tried to sort of do a very high level understanding, but if you could tell them.
Yeah, I thought you did a really good job. But at the end of the day, we're a media company, except we're powered by user-generated content. Everything that we do involves UGC. And I really believe we were one of the first folks to really create a marketplace for user-generated content, where 5-6 years ago, people weren't valuing this content. And we always thought there was a huge value to this content of everyday people creating real stories that are organic and authentic, where we go out and acquire the rights from everyday people. And today we've paid over $25 million in royalties, I'm proud to say. Again, in a market where I felt like people were discounting years ago. And we built our whole infrastructure around this type of content, where one side of our business, we're able to license that content to morning shows, news shows, talk shows, clip shows all around the world. We feed that content into a bunch of big media publishers to write articles around our content. And we also work with a lot of brands and agencies, particularly right now in this COVID situation. We're working with a lot of brands for a lot of TV and social campaigns. And so that's the licensing side of our business. The other side of our business, how we take these really great assets and we've created these content brands where we're programming this content to an audience of over 2.5 billion people between our social channels. We have about over 200 million fans between our 5 owned and operated channels. And we've also produced TV shows around the world in over 200 markets here in the US and outside the US. And we're also heavily involved on the CTV OTT side as well. And so there's these really gems of videos everyday people are creating. We've been able to exploit that and monetize that content over and over on the behalf of the creators and the behalf of the company.
Do you have a tool that tracks who's doing what, or do you use Tubular's platform? I mean, how do you know who's a hot,
like an individual piece of content?
Creator, yeah, a piece of content.
Yeah, so a lot of times we're often dealing less with the ongoing content creators who have their own followings, which we deal with sometimes. But our videos are really more, I would say, the accidental content creator. People who aren't really going out seeking fame or seeking monetization, they happen to catch this really amazing moment caught on camera, whether that's inspirational, whether that's comedy, whether it's something that's newsworthy and it could go trending or go viral. It's usually a short form video, 30 seconds, although it could be longer. that's really type of content that we're looking. And so we have relationships with all the platforms, whether it's Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, where we're tracking a whole bunch of videos at any given moment. I think we look at something around 50,000 videos a day, and we've really built a lot of technology and infrastructure around that content identification to help us find the best videos out there that we know that we can monetize really well. And we were the first to market. There's a handful of other folks doing this. I really think our competitive advantage is our technology and infrastructure that we've been built to help identify these pieces of content that we know we can help monetize on behalf of a creator.
So, I mean, do you go after those creators first, or what happens if a network somehow reaches out to that creator? And then how do you offer the best deal? Like, what's the business model? And
yeah, so we once we identify a piece of content, we use technology to help us filter some of these videos, because we have to find the right owner. Because if you know, there's thousands and thousands of copies out there, people are unfortunately infringing content on behalf of the creator, and we have to go out and find the original owner, where we strike a licensing deal, where we're either paying them a one-time fee. Sometimes they want money up cash up front, and sometimes want ongoing revenue shares for the rest of their life, for perpetual revenue and royalty. And so we're happy to do either one of those deals. It's really up to the video owner at the end of the day. But once we strike that deal, we then put into our system, we put up on our licensing platform. Think of us as like a Getty Images for user-generated content, where we can publish that content or distribute that content to our network of folks that want to use that for their own programming. And so sometimes, a lot of times, some of these networks or some of these TV shows, they have their own staff looking for content, as they should. But our value prop to the video owners, we can maximize their revenue. Some shows are only wanting the use for that particular case. Sometimes they want it for multiple cases, but they're only going to pay once. And being a former TV producer, I understand, really have an understanding of all the rights. And so we try to limit the rights and maximize the monetization on behalf of the owners.
once you make a deal with these people, or are there any examples where you will maybe develop a show with them, a series or something? Do you provide those kinds of services or entrees to other networks? Are you a deal maker in between all of that? Or
I think when we do identify a piece of content and it has gone viral, it has made monetization, if we think there's opportunities to further develop that IP, whether it's a format, whether it's a one-time video this person created, or whether it's a talent in the video, although we don't represent talent, we kind of let other folks do that who are really good at that. Our focus is really around that IP. We try to further extend that IP, and so we've done one-off deals with creators. We tried to develop stuff into series. We want to extend that IP. We're all about that IP management and monetization. So if there's any ways we can extend that and get the creator involved, we love doing that. And there's been a handful of times where we've attached projects to video owners, whether it's a series we produce ourselves or producing on the behalf of someone else.
Well, I want to talk to you about something here. These notes about Viacom CBS has ordered 2 new clip shows. I want to find out about that. But before we go into that, I want to hear more about trending. For example, and the brands that you offer or the shows that you offer. Tell us a little bit about, in this age of COVID-19, what's trending? What do people want to see? I know I'm seeing people wanting to watch turtles playing with balls. I mean, I don't know. So what kinds of things are you seeing trend?
Well, I think
those valuable content.
Yeah, I think there's 2 things. So I think there's one part of the escapism. People want to escape from this bad news, everything going on, and people just want to watch content that's entertaining. And that always seems to be during good times or in bad times. People just want to escape from their day-to-day. That continues to trend, but also I think people want to know what's going on, because we can't escape what's going on in the world. And so they want to see stories that are inspirational, stories that are uplifting. There's so much content being created on the front lines of nurses and doctors. There's a lot of heroes out there. And I think it's important in our job to tell some of those stories and highlight those folks. And also, there's just so much content creation being created inside people's homes and during this quarantine. Excuse me. And I think it's forced people to be more creative. And so they're creating some really great content, whether it's dance-offs, any type of hashtag that may be trending, Rube Goldberg machines, inspirational
I've seen those, yeah.
stuff. Yeah, people cheering for nurses, people playing music on their patios. There's a ton of this content being created right now. And
We've been having dance parties. We've been having dance parties. Our groups of friends are performing to each other. But but you're not necessarily monetizing Zoom, right? With all these compilations that maybe people put them up online. But are you involved in tracking?
We'll monetize any content. Well, I don't think we're tracking on Zoom because it's more of a closed platform. But any open platforms, well, I'm sure these people are posting at some point. We're trying to get those videos, understand those videos.
And I know that brands are posting or using some of this UGC content to talk about their products in an interesting way, right? Have you been watching how brands are embracing UGC?
Yeah, so we've been working with a handful of brands right now with really quick turnaround times that really are looking for content of people talking on Zoom like we are now. People cheering on Zoom, celebrating birthdays, celebrating weddings. So there's a lot of that type of content we're working with brands with. We're working with brands, again, with nurses dancing. If you see some of those videos, they want to be attached to those conversations, some stuff that's very uplifting. And so we're working with some major brands, and the turnaround time to put together these campaigns are really quickly. We'll get a request on Monday, finish the request. So they'll be looking for content, coming to us, asking for a particular type of content. We'll find it for them through the whole week. By Friday, we're done delivering, and the following Monday, that campaign is appearing on TV in a few days. So the turnaround time is super quick right now. There's a lot of high demand for this type of content, and we're happy to be there for these commercial producers that are having a really difficulty time right now producing content due to the limitedness of production right now.
Would you say that people are putting content out there hoping to get noticed by these brands? I mean, that's been going on for a long time, but do you think in this moment in particular that they know that the brands are hurting and that they want to be noticed? Is that a phenomenon, or is it more of an accidental thing?
I think I don't think it's any different now than it was before a pre-COVID era. I think if people are creating content and they want to be noticed by brands, they've been doing that way before COVID happened. I think that's just continued or maybe even accelerated as people might have more time on their hands. So I don't think that's anything new. I think some folks out there really just want to be noticed and looking for that fame. Those are, those content creators or influencers, and they're going to continue to do that past COVID.
John, I know you're involved in a couple of productions. Can you give us some highlights about what that is, what you're doing?
Yeah, so I think it's a really interesting time right now for original production. Obviously, as I mentioned, we're very limited in our production capabilities. Everyone in Hollywood, there's a lot of folks out of work right now, unfortunately. For us, some of the productions that we do, and most of them really involve post-production. And so we have got a lot of inbound interest from networks and other production companies about producing shows right now, TV shows, because we had those capabilities to do that and because we had that infrastructure. And right now we are actually in production on 2 pilots, one of them for a major network, another one for the international market. So we're excited that we're in production. When we were talking to our partners a few weeks ago, we were worried they were going to stall, put things on hold. In fact, it was the exact opposite. They were like, "How fast can you get this going?" And so I think we're very lucky and fortunate that we're able to be producing some shows right now, and we're talking to a handful of other partners as well to produce.
So these are
clip-based programming.
these are shows that aggregate clips, UGC clips?
Yeah, so it's a clip show. Think of like Ridiculousness or Tosh 1.0. This is going to be a voiceover only. Both shows are voiceover only. And so that gives us our ability to produce this content in a seamless way.
What about the UGC content from sports stars, doing trick shots in their homes, or people playing games with their families, various famous people? Are you involved in organizing that kind of content? I mean, there's certainly, some examples of that out there, or they probably have their own relationships.
Yeah, I think there's a handful of content that's being created. I mentioned right now in quarantine. As far as like actors and actresses or sports stars, we tend to stay away from that. Again, our focus is on the everyday creator, not people who are trying to go out and shoot the content themselves. It's more for the average Joe. If there is a case where some sports star, mega celebrity is in a video, and we can get their likeness, we will. But if you remember, at the end of the day, they have to sign their likeness away. And that's everybody in the video. It's a little harder for these mega celebrities, and then agents and lawyers get involved. And I don't know if it's worth anybody's time at that point.
Before, you talked about the fact that you're obviously watching the open platforms. Does that include TikTok and things like that?
Absolutely. We're a huge fan of TikTok over at Jukin. I think you're seeing it explode right now in the marketplace as far as consumption and creation. There's no doubt in my mind it'll be the biggest video platform by the end of the year.
And what about Twitch?
Twitch is great. It's really interesting. I think it was a really smart acquisition for Amazon a few years ago. It's something that we have not invested heavily into, as I think it lends itself better to a gaming community, which we have some really great gaming fans. It's just never been a huge focus for us. So I think Twitch is a great platform, a great live platform, particularly in the gaming community.
Where are you putting your money in terms of investments? Is it really just in the content and finding those creators, and or are you investing in your platform somehow, or investing in the programming? Like, what are your priorities in terms of where your money goes to invest?
Totally. So we don't, like a lot of startups, they depend on outside capital. We don't do that. And so we really fund, even though we have taken some outside capital, our funding and how we fund everyday operations from cash flow. And so we've grown the company really organically. And so whatever we invest in has to be something we're really serious about. And so because we have all these different areas and diverse revenue streams in our business, we're very selective in what areas we invest in and how much we do it in. And so we're not investing millions and millions of dollars as you see from other startups. We have to be very cautious and strategic in what areas we want to invest in. And we've been doing that over time as we built as the company has grown organically. So we have to invest in all areas of the business. But where I really see huge opportunity is our CTV and OTT side of our business, which we've grown dramatically over the last few years. I think we were one of the first digital first media companies to really embrace CTV. And so we invested heavily in our programming strategy over the last few years, and we're continuing to do so. And so it's a huge area where we're seeing investment.
But you don't promote. Do you feel like you need to promote? I mean, this is obviously getting the word out, but is there a line item in your budget to start promoting the awareness of these channels?
So it's an interesting question because we are a digital first media company. We've grown audiences digitally, and we have our own and operated brands. And there's a lot of brand equity into some of our channels. And so those channels are Fail Army, People Are Awesome, Pet Collective. They have really great followings, really great loyal fans. And so we've built up great brand equity over the years. One of the best things we have with the platforms, the best offering that we've been able to build this audience fairly cheaply, as opposed to if you're starting your own TV network or building your own brand traditionally. Facebook and YouTube, has allowed us to build these brands and really great audiences that
Mhm.
become really loyal. And so it's built up these really great brand equity. And so we have spent some money on promotion. It's been very minimal to drive audience to some of our CTV channels. But at the end of the day, I think we are so powerful when it comes to discovering our channels. People recognize these brands and they want to tune in because they have seen these brands before. And so I don't think if we were starting from scratch, we would be as successful because it has taken years and years of building up that audience and building up that programming on these social channels. We're not doing a huge marketing spend, as I think most traditional companies would need to do. Viacom have obviously acquired Pluto, and they've spent tons and tons of money on media, from digital ads to billboards.
Right. Uh, are you making more money from this new work that you're doing with OTT and CTV, or licensing to the networks, or perhaps developing new programming? Where do you think your profits will come from in the next couple of years?
So our licensing business has always been our legacy business, our bread and butter. My background producing some of these clip shows um, has always been kind of the strength of the business and what we first started out. And so I continue to see the licensing business continue to grow and develop over the years. We invested heavily into our licensing platform. We have a new offering. Right now, we deal a lot with enterprise clients, big media companies, big publishers, big brands. We want to focus on smaller brands, smaller to medium-sized businesses, particularly in this time that may need help. And so we want to offer our content to them at a much, much cheaper rate, so they could build up their business. And so I continue to see us investing in the licensing business, um, and continue to see that revenue grow over time so we can then turn around and buy more videos, and then send the funnel back out to video creators.
Speaking of funneling money out to video creators and discovering content, there are a lot of people who produce their own content, whether it's they're educating people about something, they're alternative news voices. They're not necessarily creating animal videos, or it's something funny that happened in their house, right? So, but they're providing valuable content to their community, which might range from 23,000 subscribers, a couple of thousand subscribers, maybe over a million, maybe several million. But they haven't been picked up by an agency or another network or been purchased. I mean, do you have any interest in those kinds of people who have a following already but haven't been bought, per
I think
se?
we're at the end of the day, we're interested in really great content that tells really compelling and honest stories. And that could be anything from an image of a frontline, video of a frontline worker being a hero, from him or her walking down after a shift and people cheering is a great story, to a funny video of a guy falling out a banana peel for Fail Army. There really ranges from the type of content that we're looking for, and so it's really about being authentic. It tells a great story, whether it's 10 seconds long or 3 minutes long.
But these are
It's got to be organic.
individual videos. I'm talking about people who are creating videos every day, created a channel, they've got subscribers, they've consistent, they generate content, they've built an audience. Do you look for people like that? Or are you more interested in individual videos that you can license out, like you were just saying?
We look for individual videos at the end of the day.
Okay.
So I think I mentioned I think there's plenty of people and companies that are managing talent and managing channels. The MCN game, the multi-channel networks. There's a handful of them around the world, and I think those folks are really, really good at that. For us, we just specialize on the content, and there's no stopping for them working, the creator to work with an MCN or an influencer network and work with us at the same time.
Well, I am kind of curious, like like what you watch when you go on YouTube. What kinds of things do you like to see? Or you're just spending so much time watching all these little videos. right?
Yeah. So I think I've seen, uh, being around user-generated content my whole career, um, producing these shows, researching for these shows, picking up stuff from the from the P.O. Box VHS tapes. I've seen every type of video. So I try to avoid any type of user-generated content if I could, because so much of my time is generated to something that I do love. But really use YouTube as a tool to discover new things that I don't know, and I really use it as a learning tool for myself. So a lot of how-to videos, a lot of videos around particular places I've never been, some cooking tutorials right now as I try to get better at my culinary skills. So
Me
it's a
too.
wide range of things. Yeah. So I think anything that can be helpful around the house these days, I've been looking up on YouTube.
Well, that sounds good. I think that's those are all the questions I had. But is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, if anybody has a really great video, we would love to see it. We would love to represent it. And you can just go to jukinmedia.com, and we love to hear from you. Or if you're looking for this type of content, we would also like to hear from you. And we'd like to help you supply you with this content that's cleared and sourced, and brand safety and brand safe.
That sounds good. I know by the way, my daughter and I, we like to sit, well, she pulls me over to the couch and she likes to watch, you know, little babies and toddlers and kids saying weird things and, you know, pets doing stupid stuff. So we're part of your audience. Thank you so much for organizing all that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the questions. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. That is John Skogmo. I was going to say Skogmo. Skogmo, who's the CEO and founder of Jukin Media at jukinmedia.com. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you very soon. I'm Tracy Swedlow. This is Televisionation. Contact us if you'd like to be on too. We're going to be making some announcements soon, so stay tuned. Thank you.